Hey, it's Bill. You're tuning in to the Pennsylvania Rock Show featuring the best unsigned rock and metal that Pennsylvania has to offer right here on PARockshow.com, MegaRockRadio.net, 107.1 FM St. Louis, Missouri, AltRockRadio.ca out of the Toronto, Canada area, on the west coast of the United States on RooterRadio.com, across the pond on XRPRadio.co.uk, and right here from my living room on buildthescene.com. With me tonight on episode number 531 is Brett from the band UltraViolent. What's up, Brett?
How you doing, Bill?
Not too
I'm
bad.
doing all right.
See this soundproofing behind you there.
Yep, it's our little studio space that we use to pretty much record everything ourselves. So that's something we're proud of, and we'll continue to do.
Well, you'll be able to tell us a little bit about that when we talk about your music in a little bit. For those of you that are tuning in for the first time, on the Facebook video, if you make comments, Brett and I will be able to see them and interact with you. So if anyone has any comments or questions, you can pop them in there. And if I feel like they fit into the conversation, I will pop it up on the screen and make sure Brett sees it. Just of note, when we get to the part about talking about the music and playing music, it will not be played on the Facebook page. You'll have to go to buildthescene.com or any of the streaming stations to check that out. Okay, so with that said, we're going to get started. I'm going to start with probably the only cliche question you're going to hear from me tonight as a band interviewer, and that's, where did the band name UltraViolent come from?
Where did UltraViolent come from? Well, I wish I had a better story for you other than we literally just had a big list of names that we came up with over the course of a few weeks. And one of our friends wanted us to play at it was like a Christmas party type of thing. And the gig was coming up. And we had the band, but we didn't have a name for the band. And we were like, all right, well, we should probably pick a band name before this gig so we can call ourselves something. And we pretty much just picked one of the names on the list. It was the late night, and we were like, yeah, this will do. And we just kind of stuck with it. We were never like, yeah, that's the one. Like, yeah, we were just kind of like, we'll be this band for the night. We'll be this name. And we just never changed it. So that's how it happened.
I did that once. I was probably closer to your age at the time. I was playing deck hockey, and we were literally at the rink, and they wouldn't let us play because we didn't have a name listed. And the captain of the team I don't know if you've ever played deck hockey, but no. It's sport court, which I'm sure you've seen. It's like the plastic flooring that has like little holes in it.
Yeah. Okay.
So when you slide on that, it gives you a burn, and everybody calls it deck burn. Well, my captain had it all over his leg, and we're trying to figure out our team name, and he's like, man, this deck burn is killing me. And I looked at the owner, I'm like, we're deck burn. And we walked on. Which, cool. And the other part of that story is later in the season, the deck actually caught on fire and burned down.
Oh, my God.
Not our fault. We weren't there.
Yeah.
But
had you not named yourselves that might not have happened. So
yeah, maybe we should have named ourselves Fire Truck. So I have already stumbled saying UltraViolent, and the reason is I just started teaching back in the building.
Yep.
So tomorrow will be day 5, and we have these ultraviolet lights that we're supposed to wave over stuff we're touching.
See, what's weird about that is, like, ever since the band was UltraViolent, now the word ultraviolet sounds weird to me. So that kind of sets me off, even though I know that's the actual word. And like, you'll see there's a lot of people that, like, if they haven't heard us before, or like they're trying to look us up, that they'll be like, oh yeah, UltraViolent. Like, yeah. And I'm like, don't forget the N, you know? So it happens quite a lot, but I mean, I completely understand. I'm the one that thinks it's weird when I hear UltraViolent, but that's just because I'm used to the band name by now. So,
Well, I'm going to do my best to add that in.
yeah, yeah. There's actually a funny joke we'd make about like having a logo, but where the N is like capitalized, so people notice that like the N's there. But
This letter's here, pronounce it.
yeah, yeah.
That's my last name is that way. It's Damiano, and I get called Domino a lot. I'm like, no, there's an A in there.
Yeah. Well, mine's weird too. Mine's Onspach, and oh my god, I got everything.
Well, you noticed I just said Brett.
Yeah, yeah.
I looked down and I saw it. I was like, nope.
Yeah, yeah. It's Onspach, and I've gotten everything from Ants Patch, and then when I'd be in school and people would make fun of me, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, Brett Artsmock or Brett Lunchbox." It was kind of funny. It's kind of stupid, but yeah, well, it's what it is.
There was a meme going around that I saved last year, and it said my name has been mispronounced so many times I'm not even sure I'm saying it right anymore.
Yeah.
But hey, so now that we got the name conversation out of the way, you guys are pretty young. If I was reading, you're like in your early 20s, right?
Yep. So,
but you started your band 6 years ago.
Yeah.
2014.
Mm-hmm.
What's the story behind that? I mean, that's pretty young, and 6 years is in a band lifespan, especially a local one. That's a long time for a lot of bands.
Yeah. So, basically, we started. I actually started playing with Avery, our bass player, in about 2012. And the band things didn't really start getting too serious until 2014. So at the time we were pretty much 14, 15. And that all started really from like the marching band in school. They had a thing called, they did like a band in a band type thing. Like they had the four of us playing actual legit instruments in the middle of the football field. And then they had the marching band going on around us because we were doing like rock themed music like Kiss and Green Day and stuff like that. So our band director pretty much put us all together, and we took it under, we took it upon ourselves to expand upon it and take it outside of marching band and really build upon it on our own and make a name for it and write our own music. Yeah.
Do you know the story behind how Leonard Skinner got their name?
I don't.
So there was a gym teacher at their school named Leonard Skinner.
Yeah.
So maybe you could fit that into your story about where your band name came from.
Yeah, yeah.
Our your band director's name was
Yeah. So what's funny is what they at the time, the name they had for our little band in a band thing was called the Cardinal Band Project, because our school mascot was the Cardinal. So they called it the Cardinal Band Project, and we're like, oh yeah, the CBP, cool. And that name came and went. And then once we built this studio, what we called it is actually Chopping Block Productions. And we didn't realize until like a year after we had the studio, we're like, oh man, it's CBP. And we're like, oh, Cardinal Band. And so like everything kind of ties into each other, whether we liked it or not. So that's kind of a cool little Easter egg piece that is kind of sticks with us, even though most people probably will never pick up on it.
Well, now they will. You put it on tape.
Yeah, they will now.
I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, man, they're like 20. My podcast is 16 years old. It's almost as old as you. But now it's time for some of those off the wall questions.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. If there was a catastrophic event, and I know that's not a reach right now.
So like COVID.
Right. and it wipes off almost the whole human race. And there's just a handful of people left. and one song from every band survives. And that music is used to help repopulate the earth. And you can read into that question however you want. Which one of your songs survives and helps to get the population back up?
Jesus. Well, see, every one of our songs is about the falling apart of the population. So,
oh, so maybe we should play it as it's happening and then
right,
call on another band.
Yeah. I would not recommend my band to bring back the population. I mean, that's a really hard question. If I really have to answer, I might say the instrumental track just cause you know there's nothing bad about it.
Does it have a good beat?
It's the slow one. It's the slowest one on the album. So it's something that the majority of people would be able to get into a little bit easier than some of the other stuff on there. So let's go track 12, Revelation. We're going to bring back the population with an instrumental.
So some people are reporting that they're having trouble watching the video, but we have 18 people, 19, another one just popped on that are watching. So I'm hoping it's just Chris, which is terrible to say.
Man, come on, Chris. I'm sorry, dude. I hope it's not me. I hope.
Chris is in a metal band from the Berg, and maybe we'll get some stuff going with them on the show later musically.
Sweet. Awesome. Yeah.
James Felty says Brett is rad.
Well, James is rad too. Thanks, buddy.
And there's this picture below me.
Yep.
So up until for the last 4 years, I was teaching social studies, and one day I opened the book, and there's a picture of a guy who died in the 50s who looked exactly like my college roommate. Yeah. To the point that I took a picture of it and sent it to him, and I was like, dude, are you a time traveler? And he was like, no, but damn. So my question is, after this pandemic's over, maybe like 10 years into the future, someone's flipping through a social studies book and they come across a section on UltraViolent.
Oh my God.
See, I told you. Why would you be in that social studies book?
Why would I be, why would we be in that social studies book? Well, so we're about, or according to Alana from DI Records, they want to have us play Canada once COVID's over. And so I can only imagine that something's gonna go down while we're across the border up there. Maybe we all lose our passports, and then I don't know, this cop chase, and I don't know. It's gonna be some kind of revolutionary thing. I don't know how any of that works.
So I'm sitting here, and this is gonna date myself, but have you seen the South Park the movie?
You know, I've been told to watch it many times, but I have not seen the movie.
So there's a song in that movie, and it's Blame Canada. And
I know the song.
I was running through my head.
I do know the song though.
Alana just popped into the chat.
There she is.
It's funny, Alana, because I actually teach science, so I could have asked it that way had I known.
You know, Alana, if you have any idea of why we would be in a social studies book, please comment and let us know, because I don't have those answers, but someone else might.
And I am completely blanking on Chris's band name, and that's terrible. And now I'm trying to cheat and scroll through my files and hoping it'll pop out. And I can't remember. So far I told you that I'm old and can't remember, and that I have to eat Tums because I had tomato sauce. That's what you have to look forward to.
Oh, geez. I mean, I'm at the ibuprofen stage of my life right now, so we'll get there.
Man, Give me 1 second. I'm gonna keep scrolling. I
It's all
can't-
good. We got to get the plug in here. We got to get the
That's
plug.
right.
Alana says people would realize we predicted the future with evictions concept. I mean, I kind of hope not. I hope this Earth takes a different turn than our supposed prediction, but it's out there for a reason.
I'm really gonna cheat. I'm gonna send Jonna from First Angel Media a message and see if she can help me. Except maybe I'm not, because it's not. Facebook doesn't want to let me do anything. You know what? It's terrible.
We'll plug it. We'll figure it out.
Wait, here we go. Come on. It's a good thing I can cut this later.
That's true.
And since he can't see the video right now, he has no idea. Nobody tell him.
That's true, though. That's true.
All right, so are you going to start panicking every time I go to answer another question or ask another question?
Oh, jeez.
Maybe I'll give you a little easier.
No, I see. I love it though, because like, I don't like going on an interview where people are like, "Okay, hi, Brett. What instrument do you play?" Like, no, I want to hear stuff like what you're asking me. You know,
Jonna to the rescue. Leprosy is the band name.
Leprosy.
And they're
Awesome.
they're a really big band in Pittsburgh, and I couldn't remember it.
Awesome.
They've been around for like 21 years, I believe.
Awesome. Let's play a show. Cool.
Well, they are metal, so
I would hope so.
they have the distinction of being a band that I said when they sent me their music, I'm like, look, I can only play this song, and this song because I can't say those song names on the air.
Gotcha.
Let's see. If I'm gonna let you off the hook for just a moment, and then we'll get those faces out of you when I ask questions later.
Okay.
If you could sit on that proverbial bench that everyone talks about for an hour and talk to any musician in the history of the world, who would you want to sit with? But know that you're limited to one question. What would you ask them?
Oh, man.
So I said a little easier.
Yeah, well, throwing in the one question part makes it harder just because there's so many different things I could ask so many different people. As far as musician goes, James Hetfield. Come on. Like, absolutely.
I was just watching Metallica Monday the other day.
Yep. I was at the drive-in concert that they just had, me and some buddies.
I have friends that own a drive-in, but they didn't do it.
Oh yeah. I would pick James, and I would figure out what I'd ask him later. But just because that'd be a dream come true.
I was sitting there watching the Metallica Monday, and people were commenting about how bad Lars is. I don't see it that way.
I mean, I understand that there's more technical drummers out there than he is, but he's not bad. I mean, he's in the greatest metal band in the history of the planet.
Exactly.
He can't be that bad, and it wouldn't be Metallica without Lars. They wouldn't be where they are. The songs wouldn't sound the way they sound, and that's just a part of who they are. So I wouldn't have it any other way, even if he isn't the greatest,
And that's the same argument that I give when people start talking about Peter Criss and Kiss.
That's true. Catman, I believe, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely not the strongest drummer ever. But without him, that original sound wasn't there.
That's true.
And you mentioned them earlier, so it gives me free reign to bring them up.
Yeah. You knew I was gonna say James. Yeah, I mean my love for Metallica isn't hidden very well. Put it that way.
So who's Sean since he piped in?
Sean, I'm friends with him on Facebook. He cooks a lot of meat. I see him cooking meat all the time on Facebook.
So
Dave Grohl, I'm assuming he might, or Dave Mustaine, one of the two.
Man.
Which Dave are you talking about? Yeah.
Dave Grohl. That's perfect segue for one of my questions, so I'm going to go with it.
A lot of people say I look like him. I don't understand it, but
I can see it a little.
I just had to throw it out there.
So I do a lot of like late nights over the summer because being a teacher, I don't have to be up early in the summer, and I'll just start watching videos on YouTube. And no matter what I start out with, I always end up watching Foo Fighters videos.
Yeah.
They always end up in there. So my favorite Foo Fighter videos are the ones where they have the guy holding the sign saying they want to come up and play, and they bring him up on stage.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, if you were in that situation where you were being called up on stage, who would be in Dave Grohl's spot? So what band would you want to be up on stage with?
The Metallica boys, let's go. I mean,
Alana's challenging you there. I don't know if you saw that. Since you...
Alana.
Yep.
Name every
you love Metallica.
song.
Name every song.
All right, we'll start with Kill 'Em All. We got Hit the Lights, Four Horsemen. Oh, yeah.
So when I was in high school, I was playing football, and when we would work out over the summer, we used to listen to Black on loop.
Okay.
So that was my first introduction to Metallica.
Yeah.
But it was good working out music.
A lot of people hate on that album just because they say that's when they went mainstream. But I mean, there's still a lot of great songs on that album. And people are like, oh, they lost it after 91. You know, they cut their hair, load and reload. They lost it. I love every era of Metallica, so I can't really comment on that. Saint Anger, I feel like
that drum sound.
Yeah, so like that's not even the thing that bothers me the most. The thing that bothers me the most is James's vocal performance on that album. Bothers me more than the drums do. I feel like if that album was produced well and James had some better performances, it would be a really great sounding album.
King Nothing was on that, right?
That was on Load.
Okay, that was on Load.
Yep.
See, that shows you, I'm not a huge Metallica fan, but I do, I like them, but they're not my.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that, it's their number one, and I know a lot of people that just do not associate at all with the band. They're just like, oh, the sellouts, I don't care. It's music.
Sean was talking about Dave Mustaine, by the way.
Okay.
He was pulling you into that war.
Well, I mean, I probably don't have to say my answer for you to know my answer, but I do like both of the bands. Megadeth is a great band. Dave Mustaine is a great guitar player, perhaps maybe even better than Kirk, yes. Better than James at times, maybe. I like them both, but just something about Metallica takes me to a special place that no other band really does that for me. And I'm sorry to turn this whole podcast into a Metallica fanboy session, but if you ask me about it, I'm going to go off. So,
well, see, I think that Dave should kind of embrace it a little more. How many people can say that they were in both Metallica and Megadeth?
Dave, yeah.
Now, granted, he was in Metallica really early, and there are people out there that probably don't even know that.
Right. Because he did write some riffs for, a lot of Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning, from my understanding. But yeah, he being in 2 of the 4 of the big 4 of thrash, So.
All right. Next question. And I'm banning Metallica as an answer this time. I can't pick them.
Okay.
All right. So you're getting ready to go out on your first world tour. What band do you wish you could open for? And what venue would you want to start the tour out at?
Um, it might not sound okay logistically, but playing at Red Rocks has been a dream of mine. Um, Band, wow, and I can't say Metallica.
Nope.
Mm, um, Slipknot would be awesome. It's because of the energy. I feel like being around them would help us elevate ourselves a lot more, bring us to the next level. Just being around them, just how crazy they are. I like Avenged Sevenfold a lot too. I listen to them in phases, you know, but they have had a big influence on me and my music, and they are one of the bigger ones. So they draw some pretty great crowds too, some pretty accepting crowds. I know there's bands like Slayer that if they were still playing, that if we opened for, they'd probably be like, "Oh, this ultra-violent band are terrible. They're not. This isn't Rain and Blood. Like what? You know what I mean? This isn't the same thrash album that Slayer's put out for years. Sorry, um, you know, is what it is."
So, just a chance for you to mention some more bands that you would say influenced you. So, you're on that tour, and I'm part of the road crew, and we're
All right.
going from stop to stop. What soundtrack are we going to have? What bands are we going to be listening to?
Um, we're gonna be listening to a lot of rap because when I'm not playing metal, or if I'm not feeling metal, or if I just played metal and I'm all, I'm out of it. Like I don't want to listen to metal right now. I just gotta tune it out. I'll either put on some rap, like Run the Jewels, Eminem, or I'll put on something like John Mayer, like that indie type of stuff. I know it sounds
That's a
weird.
big jump.
Sounds weird. I love the man. I love John Mayer. He's a crazy guitar player. Uh, Voice is incredible. Um, I like everything except country. If we're
Now,
talking,
when
okay.
you say accept country, you mean country as a whole, or do you mean the pop country stuff that's happening now?
Um, so
Sim?
I don't like the pop country. However, I don't listen to the country of old, with the exception of I grew up on a few Alan Jackson songs. Maybe Johnny Cash is cool.
There you
I
go.
respect it. It's all right. Um, Pop country like Florida Georgia Line, get that out of here. Like it's like they shouldn't mesh together in my opinion. You shouldn't pretend to be country if you're not. Um, you're sitting in your $1 million house and you're saying about how you're driving your old Ford Ranger down the dirt road. Like I don't really want to hear it. If we're talking metal on the road, Wage War, pretty good band. August Burns Red, Polaris. A lot of it changes week to week. This band, this band, this band. Now I'm listening to this band for a week. Now it's back to this band. Now I'm listening to John Mayer. Now I'm listening to Run the Jewels. You know what I mean? It flips. It's whatever I'm feeling. I like a lot of music.
Um, so let's take a moment and talk about the album that you sent me.
Okay.
Um, Eviction, correct?
Yes.
When you said you were like, here, I'll send you the Dropbox to the album. I usually get EPs, and I clicked on it. I was like, wow, it's an LP.
Yep. Yes, it is.
Um, tell us a little bit. I mean, you're sitting in a recording studio, so I'm sure you have some studio stories, and maybe work your way towards the song, and tell us a little bit about the song we're going to listen to tonight.
Okay. So the album's called Eviction. It was released on June 20th of 2019. We recorded, wrote it, mixed, mastered, all the fun stuff. We did that all ourselves. In my basement in our little studio session here. Insult to Injury was the first song we dropped from the album. We dropped that with a music video in October of 2018. And then the next single we dropped from the album was Hey and the Needle Stack, which is what you guys will be, about to hear. It's a concept album. So it tells a story from start to finish. And to sum it up, it's pretty much pointing out the flaws in humanity over time and the results of those flaws where we are now, where we're going to be if we continue to end up, following through with these things. So it's almost a warning type of, I don't know.
I'm not laughing at what you're saying. I'm laughing at what popped into my head. When I was in college, I took um, an honors course that was intro to poetry.
Mm-hmm.
And 10 minutes before I was supposed to be at class, and I was 20 minutes from the building, I realized I had homework, and it was to do a visual poem, which is a poem that when you look at it, it actually forms a picture of something as well.
Okay.
So in about 2 minutes, I took the word technology, and I made it look like a computer monitor, keyboard, and mouse.
Mm-hmm.
And right in the middle of the keyboard, I put the words failing humanity, which
Okay.
is kind of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So that poem ended up in my professor's textbook that she wrote.
Wow.
And then at the end of the semester, the final was we were supposed to keep working on our poems throughout the semester, and then we had to turn everything in to show our growth. And she didn't even really look at mine. She sat me down and said, you're a pretty good prose writer, but you're a terrible poet. I was the only person in the class not to get an A.
Oh, man.
I was also the only person that she published, though. So,
well, yeah, I mean, any press is good press, as
that's
they
right.
say. So
my name is under Dickinson in the index.
Gotcha.
So that's my claim to fame.
Yeah.
Sorry. So I think I kind of completely cut that off at this point. So how about we play the song Hay in the Needle Stack? And we're going to play some Seethe with it as well. That song is called Circles. And we will be right back with Brett from UltraViolent. And for those of you that are hanging out with us live right now, can't play that music as I mentioned at the beginning because Facebook will mute the video and then you won't get to hear Brett's answers and I won't be able to rip it later to use it for the audio. So
yeah,
can't play it. Okay, you just heard Seethe song Circles, and right before that you heard Needle. See, I almost messed that up. Hay in the Needle Stack by UltraViolent, with an N, really big N right before that T.
With a really big N.
This is episode 531 of the Pennsylvania Rock Show. That means that my podcast is almost as old as Brett.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's true.
I was 2004.
Wow. But yeah, so Hay in the Needle Stack. Should I say a little bit about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Awesome. Okay. So basically, the riff to that song was first written. I wrote the first riff to that song. It was after a night of band practice. Somebody made me really mad. We got into an argument at band practice about something. I don't remember what it was, but I was just so livid. Everyone left. I came in the studio myself, and I just said, I'm just going to write the meanest riff. I'm just going to write the meanest riff. I'm going to tune solo. I'm going to write some awesome riff. And I wrote it, and I showed it to the guys, and they all really liked it. So, we kept it in our repertoire at the time. During that time, I was working at a bowling alley. And this will be relevant, just don't worry. I was working at a bowling alley, and while the leagues were going on, I'd have to sit in the back behind the pins and watch all the pins and make sure everything was good to go. Everything was working right. The machines were okay. And while I was back there, I was scrolling on Facebook, and I saw an article, very unfortunate, but it was saying about how there was 3 school shootings within the same week. And I got so angry, so upset. I couldn't do anything about it. I was so disappointed in the world at that time. And in the matter of 15 minutes of me sitting in the back of a bowling alley, I wrote all of the lyrics to that song. And we might have changed one line since then, but man, I was angry. And basically, I mean, that's probably one of the more controversial songs on the album, because it's talking about like, oh, if all this stuff's happening, and like if there's a God, and why is this happening, and this and that and the other thing. So that's pretty much the whole consensus of the song. The reason we got the name Hay in the Needle Stack, it's a direct SpongeBob reference, which is kind of ironic considering the seriousness of the song. But basically, at the time, it was one of the more heavier songs that was in our list for the album. And it was one that really stuck out. Like, okay, here's our songs. Then there's this song that's like super heavy compared to the rest. And it was the needle in the haystack, so to speak. And then I don't remember why, but we flipped it to Hay in the Needle Stack. And we were like, oh, yeah, SpongeBob. Like, if anyone picks up on that, and for the irony. So, and a final secret is the song length is 3:16, which is an ode to the biblical, the line. So it kind of ties in with the song. It ties in, everything. So there's a lot of weird stuff that people won't really notice if they don't look for it. But if you do look for it, I promise it's there.
It's cool that you mentioned all the Easter eggs, because Dakota from DI Records called me out earlier on a video that had some very, very well hidden links to Kiss. Kiss the Ring was the video. And that.
Oh, that was hang on. It was that with that girl.
Reality Suite.
Reality Suite. Yeah. I was
that one I remember. Yeah. So in the video, the background lighting changes colors.
Yeah, and then they correspond to the
Kiss colors.
To the members. Yeah, I remember seeing them post about that.
The name he
me, but
100% tagged me in that and called me out. So Dakota, I may not have responded on the post, but there it is.
Yeah.
I missed it. That's a tough one, though. My phone just started talking on its own. I'm laying here.
All right. Welcome the phone to the podcast, everybody, to the interview. And yeah.
I think I have like 2 or 3 more questions for you. The show's an hour long. I like to play a little bit of music. We're pushing about 40 minutes now.
Okay. That's fine with me.
Let's see. What is something that the fans of UltraViolent would be surprised to learn about you?
About the band?
Nope. You.
Me.
Yep.
You keep getting that face from me.
Now you're going, man, I really wish I would have listened to that video or that show earlier.
So most of like the diehard fans, or like most of our friends that have been with us from the beginning, know this. But for people that just pick up the album and don't really know who we are, I started out on drums, actually, and I've been playing drums much longer than I've been doing guitar. And I personally think I'm better at drums, even though I play guitar in the band. Same with vocals. I was never a vocalist. I never picked up a microphone until we pretty much had to, because we couldn't find a vocalist. And I said, you know what? Screw it. I guess I'll try it. So I honestly didn't even really want to be a vocalist. It just kind of happened. And now here we are. So
that story kind of fits that whole looking like Dave Grohl thing, right?
Yeah, I know.
Tell me, if you don't mind, about an embarrassing moment you've had on stage.
Yeah. So there's been a few. One of them, we were playing a show. This was back in the early days, back when we played like in our hometown. We were still doing covers. We didn't know what to do with ourselves. We were playing outside of a church in like a gazebo. and we opened with a cover of Check My Brain by Alice in Chains. So after that song, about 50% of the crowd had left because, this is a rock band at a church. It's not okay. So we're covering The Trooper by Iron Maiden, and we're doing our own sound. The soundboard's on the stage. It's a big soundboard. I'm in the middle of my solo, and it's a wooden gazebo, and we hear a thump, like a big thump. And we're like, oh no. We turn around. The soundboard's on the ground. The faders are jacked up, so people out front are hearing wee coming from the microphones, and it was just pretty terrible. Another embarrassing moment on stage. And I hate myself for it, but we were opening up for August Burns Red at the Chameleon Club, and one of the guitars just did not work for an entire song, and we had a 20-minute slot, and it was a pay-to-play thing, and it was not cheap, and you live and you learn, but we're past it now.
You actually kind of sound a little bitter about it.
Yeah, well, we played that show the day the album dropped, and the few days before, we were just up all night, like getting ready, doing this and that, and I pulled an all-nighter. Just did not have sleep, and I was excited about this show for months. They're one of my favorite metalcore bands, and we're like, I finally get to share the stage with this awesome band at the Chameleon Club in Lancaster, their hometown. And backstage before the intro started playing, I gotta admit, I just wasn't feeling it. And you put your best face on when you go out there, but the guitar thing happening in the middle of the set was just kind of the icing on the cake. And it wasn't really the best night for me. So, like I said, it is what it is. Mistakes are gonna happen. You just gotta accept it.
Let's see. I said 2 or 3, so I'm gonna throw one more at you, but I am gonna go to my list of questions that I have over here and see if I have anything really hard hitting, or I know what I can do. Have you seen the movie Almost Famous? Oh. Okay, so I'll give you a little bit of a what it's about without spoiling it, and then as a teacher, I'm gonna give you a homework assignment and tell you have to find it and watch it.
Yeah, see, whenever people say stuff like that, I'm not a huge TV or movie person. I'm always just like, this is what I do with my time, so.
Well, Almost Famous is about a kid who is trying to become a writer for Rolling Stone, and they give him a freelance job where he's supposed to follow a band around and write about the band. And what it really turns into was he was babysitting the band.
Oh, goodness.
And he had to come up with had to write an article and had a deadline, and he kept trying to get him to extend it because he wasn't getting anything done. And it's about the groupies that followed them. It's actually a good movie. But my question is, if you were that kid, what band would you want to be writing about for your first article? I love the faces.
I mean, and I still can't. I still can't say Metallica, right? Or are we off the charts there? I mean,
if you're gonna say Metallica, you have to give me 2. And
okay.
Brandon Babcock says, Brett, the fans are dying to know how many hard-boiled eggs can you fit in your mouth at the same time.
Yeah, so Brandon's our drummer. Yeah. I mean, he has seen how many jumbo marshmallows can fit in my mouth at one time. He has seen that. So I'd say maybe 2 or 3 less than that. If you really want your answer there, Brandon. So if I could write, oh man, I'm trying to think of like a crazy band that has done like crazy stuff, like Motley Crue type of stuff, like maybe a band like that.
I tell you what, that the Dirt, I think that actually disappointed me. I was like, there's no way they weren't more depraved than
Right,
that movie showed.
right. Or even like Ozzy used to be, pretty wild from what
Yeah.
I have heard. Something like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't partake, but I definitely take notes on it. So,
Okay. So this question doesn't count, but it's one of the more important ones. Where can the listeners get a copy of Eviction, and where can they find you online?
all right. So, if you would like a CD copy, you can go to ultraviolent.bigcartel.com. That's our merch site. We have some shirts. We got some CDs, of course. We've got some posters, stickers. I'm not sure if we have any booty shorts left. We might. So that's for the merch. If you want to listen to us, we're on pretty much anywhere you can listen to music. Just search up UltraViolent. Don't forget the N. Put Eviction in there, and you're good to go. Because usually you might get Lana Del Rey's album, UltraViolence. So it's UltraViolent. Be sure. It's got the big explosion on the front of it. You can't miss it. Yeah, anywhere except for Twitter. We're terrible at Twitter, so we just said no. We're not doing Twitter. If you see a UV account on Twitter, it's not us. So yeah, pretty much anywhere. Facebook, Instagram, iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, all that fun stuff. Spotify, YouTube, blah blah blah. You know the drill.
Hey, we're gonna go out with the bang, and I'm gonna ask you the question that I just popped up on the screen from Alana. And when you're done answering, I'm gonna thank you, and we're gonna be out of here.
All right.
Her question is, what's your take on Mac Sabbath?
Crazy. Brilliant, because they're bigger than we are. I know they've played with Galactic Empire before, the Star Wars cover band, which is pretty close to home for me. I know some of the guys in that band. Chris Kelly actually does some of the music for my other project, The Art of Deception. Like he'll mix and master and give some input on that fun stuff. So shout out to Galactic and Chris Kelly and all those guys. Max Sabbath, yeah, like I said, brilliant idea, but it's not for me.
I think she had inside information before she asked that. All right, so Brett, I do want to thank you for coming on episode 531.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
And for those of you that are listening for the first time, I do this every Friday. I release a show for this. And like normal, I
build a scene.
Did not do my homework, and I do not have my website pulled up. So if you give me just a moment for it to load, I'll tell you who's going to be on next. Soon as it finishes loading.
Yeah.
Of course, it's going to be slow tonight.
Well, why wouldn't it be?
I know that next week is Modern Fossils. I know that for sure.
There's some kind of mojo about, I don't know if it's me or if it's the band, but every time we're on a podcast or an interview, there's always something that happens where the guy hosting it says, "That's never happened before." Like the camera is shut off.
Well, let me tell you, this happens a lot. So it's not this one.
Yeah. So something happened. That's just my luck. It is what it is, You're doing amazing at this. So
thank you.
So yeah, of course. And I mean, the consistency, doing it for as long as you've been doing it, that's great. So I really respect that.
I'm giving up on telling you who's playing next, other than next week is Modern Fossils. And the reason I know that one for sure is because I recorded it 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So make sure you check us out. You go to buildthescene.com. We actually have, actually have 2 podcasts there. This one and another one called 3 Questions in a Song, which is literally I ask the band 3 questions and play one of their songs. Multi-genre. You might hear some pop country on there.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta
You might not.
do.
Trying to play everything that I can within reason. So if you're out there and you're like, hey, this Pennsylvania rock show thing was pretty cool, but I don't play rock, that's why we have 3 questions in a song. And maybe you're not from Pennsylvania. Put you on that one.
Nice.
Anyway, Brett and I are gonna go and probably chat for a couple more minutes. Those of you that are on Facebook, I'd like to thank you for hanging out with us tonight.
Thank
Those
you,
of
Facebook fans.
Those of you listening to the show on one of the streaming stations or through our website, buildthescene.com, again, make sure you come back next week and see what Modern Fossils have to say. We will see you later.
See you around.